August 4th. Any thoughts, comments, changes, suggestions?
I'm happy to make a motion to approve them.
Please
I'll
do.
second the motion.
Excellent. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, perfect. Let's move. Actually, Sabina, do you want to do some introductions?
Sure. You all got the nice memo that I sent around about our new deputy director at the office, and she's on the call today and participating for the first time officially. And everybody, please meet Drake Turner. As you may recall, she worked for a year with the state college system, and she Let's Grow Kids and Hunger Free Vermont, and she's totally into public service and does all sorts of things in her spare time too to do that, which is a lot. Anyway, Drake, do you know everybody in the room? You're on.
I think almost everyone.
Okay.
But it's good to see folks and meet new faces, and excited to get started.
Great to see you, Drake.
Great. So, all right, she'll be around doing minutes and getting in touch with you, and we'll be out and about trying to grab you for your ideas and all that good stuff. It's nice to have her on board. Okay, so that's Drake.
Excellent. Do you want to talk about the certification as well?
Sure. I sent around the draft of our one-stop certification report, and I don't know if anybody had any questions, comments, changes to it or not. We basically did a conditional approval, if you will, that we're in compliance with asking for another 6 to 8 months to come back and revisit the certification to allow. There's 6 areas that we need to have areas of make improvements in, and we also need to do a little bit more outreach with our poor partners with the other funding that we get with Title III and IV, just to make sure that their areas meet all of the check boxes that we have with the Department of Labor, if that makes sense. So it's a conditional approval for now, and with a revisit in 6 months. Gives everybody an opportunity to make a few improvements. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments or changes. Okay, would anybody like to make oh, yes, go ahead, Ruth.
I just had a couple of questions because I realized what I don't know, right, by reading this. And first of all, is this a rubric that you're given, or did you develop it? I'm just curious because it's very thorough.
Oh, well, I had nothing to do with developing the rubric. It was developed by Jay Ramsey and his team. Yes.
And then the only other question I had was about cost allocation. And I just wondered who should be sharing costs, and because I saw that was an area where there's currently no evidence and need for improvement. But I'm also thinking about in the current challenging times we're in, what the implications of cost sharing may be on some of the required partners. And I just realized those are areas I don't know much about.
Okay. So back in 2022, we did a breakdown of infrastructure costs for the Burlington One Stop Center and divided them between the 20 required partners. And it came out to $1,180.66 a year. And we were supposed to bill you quarterly, so that was less than $300 quarterly. And we never billed you. So that Department of Labor, the decision was made not to bill you all, the required partners. So that puts us out of compliance with WIOA, and we obviously need to update our infrastructure costs, and then do a division again and divide it amongst everybody, and That's part of the co-location requirement, and then split the costs. That would be a short-term fix, for lack of a better way of putting it, with the goal down the road in the next 18 months to 2 years to start to do morph over to a virtual co-location platform. And there are several different forms that may take. It may take us purchasing our own online product, or we may be able to be folded into a new job link system that the Department of Labor is going to be unveiling in another 18 to 24 months. And then there would be some cost sharing allocations with that. And yes, it will be more than the $300 a quarter. But $300 a quarter is not much.
No, I understand. I just am thinking about the resources that we're working with here in the world of education are level funded with the possibility of cuts. And I think
Yep.
about the implications of that. It's not a lack of commitment, it's a lack of knowledge about where we're heading financially and all the different things that are required for what may be a shrinking pool of
Yes.
resources. So just to be able to think about that in the context of all the things we're thinking about as we
Yes.
navigate these times.
Absolutely understand that. And it changes, daily or weekly. Yes. Yes, I understand. So we hope to pull our required partners together sometime in October and have a good conversation with everybody and kind of lay out what we're thinking, and then do it. We would have a draft agreement prior to that, discuss it, and then have a final agreement, hopefully by the end, sometime in November, December timeframe that we can all sign, because our MOU did expire on June 30th. So we're technically out of compliance with that right now. And we need to take care of that. And anybody else? Nope. Okay, so I would entertain a motion if you want to approve the draft report.
I make a motion to approve the draft report for the One Stop Center.
I'll second.
It's Chris.
And
I'll
Jay, you
second.
second?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any negative, no's, nays? Okay, thank you. The next step would be then to, when we have our full board meeting at the end of September, is to, prior to that, to have shared the report with the rest of the board members and do a vote with the full board at that meeting in Rutland. And then we can move on for a few years.
Excellent. Any other certification information, Sabina?
Nothing on that for right now. Yep.
Great. All right, so let's move on to the next topic in the agenda, which is the continued discussion of goals and really trying to get some recommendations for the full board meeting at the end of September. So Sabina, would you mind sharing the where we sat last with this conversation, the last meeting with the goals that were discussed?
Sure. Hang on. I got to pull them up in a second, but yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Thank
And we didn't, okay, sorry. I'll stop talking while I get them up.
We also had a suggested groupings of committees that you included in the email as well, right?
Yes.
We should probably
Yes.
discuss as well.
Yep. Share my screen. Pardon me. And you can see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is where we're at right now.
Why don't you walk us through, Sabina? Get everybody
Okay.
back on the same page with this.
Yep, the first one was about the potential of identifying several new CTE career track programs that would align with emerging industry opportunities over the next decade. And hopefully pilot those programs at 3 different locations. Originally it was in 2027, and then working with Ruth, we talked about creating the subcommittee that will work with partners and identify 1 to 3 programs to pilot. And some of the considerations are who would be on the committee. It doesn't have to be just our board members. It can be members, within the education field, et cetera. And talk about whether we want to use this opportunity to start with adult CTE and pilot it that way. And then as we sort of get our, as it becomes working out the kinks, start to move it into the secondary field. Ruth, you may want to jump in on this if I get it wrong, but primarily because of some of the federal requirements with Wagner Pfizer, right? Or is it Perkins? But
It would be
again,
Perkins.
Thank you. And it gives us an opportunity to look at gap analysis, consider funding and resource needs, that kind of thing. I mean, this would all be developed and worked on by this committee. That's the first one. Should I stop there so we can talk about it?
Any suggestions or concerns or support thereof or negatives towards this? Okay,
That's a no news is good news.
I guess so.
Okay,
All right.
cool.
Let's move to the next one, Sabina.
Yeah, the second one we didn't get very far on, since you can see the suggested revision is empty right now, but we had talked about being more closely aligned with working to identify current Vermont employers and helping them to expand, as well as identifying potential new employers to move to the state. This is about us trying to find a way to create a mid-career track, and people can see coming here and raising their family and having careers that they can grow with, et cetera. And a lot of comments that were made were, this is the work of the Agency of Commerce and Community Development. And during our last meeting, Secretary Curley and then Commissioner Long were talking about there maybe is a way for us to identify the workforce needs that would be needed for the work that would complement their efforts. And do I have that correct, Secretary Curley?
Absolutely. And Sabina, so my apologies. Did you want us to draft something?
Even if it's like a couple of bullets at some
Okay.
point? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if you were taking notes and we're gonna draft and put something in front of us, but I'll take a stab at drafting something and putting it in front of you then.
Okay,
So
sorry
my
about that.
apologies.
Thank
I
you.
would have had that
Well,
for you sooner.
it's miscommunication on my end too. Sorry
No-
about that.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah. But we heard the concerns from the executive committee that maybe we were, duplicating rather than making something bigger, better, if you will. So that was one of the suggestions that was made at the last executive committee. I don't know if anybody has any comments or additional thoughts on that. Okay. And then the next one is, we all know that we have a lot of out-of-state students come to school here in Vermont, and we have a lot of Vermonters who stay for school, but then want to go and try something else. And so how do we find a way to keep some, a random number, 1,000 seemed like a good starting place, the number of graduates staying in Vermont, and how do we entice them to stay? Again, creating a committee that would work with partners and employers, VSACs and their chambers, that would help create a system of recruitment and housing and community involvement. A lot of times in the smaller communities, people don't feel like there's a lot of fun things to do, and there are ways to create those community involvement opportunities.
In Sabina, that 1,000, Is that an annual number or is that an aggregate number?
Yes. I was, 1,000, wouldn't 1,000 a year be great?
I just wanted to make sure what we were
It's
signing.
aggressive. Yep.
Yes, is it a little aggressive? We can pick a different number. Certainly. Is there something that's more realistic?
No,
we
I
have
just
an-
wanted to know what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Do we have a number of how many graduates there are a year in the state of Vermont? It's probably a good place to start.
At the post-secondary level?
Yeah.
10 to 20, maybe?
Yeah, I think closer on the lower end of that, probably.
Okay.
If you exclude CCV. But we could come up with a number easily.
Okay. That's probably a good place to start, and then we can come up with what we want for the total number to be, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
think-
We'll
I
fix
think
that.
We also need to understand how many graduates are staying here as well.
Good point. Where we
Ready.
started from, right?
Yeah, that number may be harder to come by, though we can see what estimates we can come up with. And I say that only because not every institution has as clear a picture of where their recent graduates are. So, but we can try and work with them to figure something out.
Great.
Hey, Scott, this is Chris Loso. I know, like, when I was in school, the Office of Career Services used to track where folks landed for employment. Is that something that most schools do in Vermont, or is that also pretty haphazard?
I would say that it is the usage of career services and the quality of the data varies significantly by institution.
Okay.
So I think that there are some things we could do to try and get some numbers, but I just want to, offer the qualification that the number is going to be imprecise.
That might be something good for that group to work on, is to try to get more precise numbers, as we move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other, Ruth?
There's also at the post-secondary level a resource that we're looking at how we could explore better at the secondary level, but there's the state wage interchange system. And it is a way to use to find out employment data for graduates based on, you have to have social security numbers, but it's something that's available to departments of labor. And then there are questions being explored at the secondary level about when we don't have social security numbers, how to do a data match to be able to have that data to take advantage in the CTE realm of that state wage interchange system. But at the post-secondary level, that may be a resource to be explored.
Great. Anybody else? Okay. And the last one was, this really, I can't imagine anybody's going to disagree with this, to update our homepage and get it redesigned so that it is the clearinghouse for job seekers, employers, workforce, education programs, etc. And the repository of all the different opportunities there are for training and credentials and apprenticeships, etc. Jill?
Can you just scroll back up to 2? I can't see it anymore. And I just wanted to have a comment possibly to make. Or no,
Which
1, it looks like.
Number 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I have I think maybe a general comment, which is that, I feel like when I talk to my members and to other people in the healthcare realm, they're really worried about filling all these jobs that are available now. And I'm not really seeing a goal that fully speaks to that. I think that the one that's coming closest is the one about retaining our graduates, because we certainly have, a few hundred nursing graduates every year who we don't retain all of them, but we need, I don't know, 7,000 or 8,000 nurses that we don't have. So it feels a little bit like that's missing from this.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't, yeah. Does anybody have a way of maybe
Or
addressing
do
that?
you have
or-
something in mind, Jill, that you want to add?
Well, I just feel like I'm going to think about it. It just feels like there isn't really a goal that is talking about the problem of not having enough of a workforce at all.
We need to get more people here, right?
Like,
Well, I mean, I think
yeah, like
I
the
agree
not
with
enough
you.
people problem.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've
Yeah.
kind of brought some of that up as like the cart and horse conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like what's going to drive people to come here. And then we were told, well, we can't do that because that's really economic development. And so we're
Right.
trying to find this realm, like meeting in the middle or working more collaboratively with other groups. But I share your kind of frustration with that for sure.
Yeah, I'm just sort of imagining bringing this to the healthcare community and how they might respond to it, or
Right.
their initial reaction.
And again, if, not to take too much of a left turn here, but it's the circular
Yeah.
issues of not enough housing, it's expensive to live here, et cetera, et cetera. And so you keep going around in a circle, and that's
That's
part
what
of the
I
reason
thought.
why
We
we
could
don't
just
have
pay
enough
them more,
people
right,
here.
Joe? Just pay them more. We'll overcome it.
That's
It'll be
right.
fine. There's no need
That'll
for
work.
budgets or anything like
Yep,
that.
no
Yeah.
problem. We got
Perfect.
that. Everybody wants us to spend more on healthcare, so yep.
Yeah, right. Oh, good
Yeah.
gravy. Yep. I'm glad you brought that up though, because that is a serious point, right?
I mean, even if it was a goal, I mean, having a goal isn't the same thing as identifying the strategies or like getting in the way of, I agree with you, all of the other things that may live somewhere else, like housing. But a goal that would be related to, trying to increase the work supply of our workforce in industries that are shortages. I mean, it seems like it's a fair goal, even if we struggle to come up with the specific strategies or have to do some balancing.
Well, and Jill, this is Chris. So your point is you're going to find certain sectors, right, that are going to be more, I guess, in line and a little bit more formalized than others. So like in healthcare, you'll be further along than, say, some of the other sectors.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a moving target.
So what's the thought here? Do we want to try to come up with something? Does anybody have any ideas for an additional one for this?
Why don't I
know Jill-
just
yeah, go ahead.
try to do some writing that I'll put in the chat, just not to, so I don't derail us.
Thank you.
What I would add, and again, I don't have the bullet point, but I can think of something and send it to the group, but something that's related to sectors, because we've had this conversation over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years or more. Maybe come up with an idea of just having it be sector based to kind of focus our efforts in the beginning. Then we can develop strategies of those that maybe are a little bit more formalized to kind of move it forward. Use that as a model. I want to send a bullet point.
Yeah, and I'll send one too, and maybe we can make them work together.
Sounds good.
Fine. I just wanted to mention to you, I dropped in the chat, you had asked my team over a month ago to have me do something. And so I had drafted something and I dropped it in the chat. I don't know if it's perfect, but this was my attempt to make number 2 additive and not duplicative. So I don't know
Sorry.
whether you want to drop it into the document.
Yeah. I just have to make this, I will do that, but
Okay,
if I do it now, then I'll block my screen.
That's okay. I'll also put it in an email to you, but again, I'm not, wed to this language, but in essence, what I thought I heard us all agree to was to try to clarify that the workforce board would support as opposed to lead, but actually work collaboratively, like all work together to be identifying the barriers and trying to really make workforce preparedness be the central contribution. So that's what I tried to do in drafting this.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'm just gonna skip number 4 because I know everybody loves that idea. And then establish new committees for the new State Workforce Development Board. And I did send around a list of potential new committees. These are the previous ones. I did that separately. I will share that. Second. Wait a minute. Oh, I didn't do that. Sorry about that. Let me stop sharing and get to find it. There we go. Can you see these proposed committees?
Yes.
Yep.
So the first one is combining career pathways in the youth committee. And with Act 73, there's another similar committee, the After School and Summer Learning Advisory Committee, and I would think that we would be sharing members with them, or that they might serve a dual purpose, dual role. I don't know if Kendall is still on, but is there anything you wanted to add to that, Kendall?
I'm sorry, which one of these committees, Sabina?
The first one, Career and Youth Committee.
Yeah, so I can provide a little more context here. So I chair the After School and Summer Learning Advisory Committee, which advises the Agency of Education with regard to granting state funds for after school and summer programming across the state on a rolling basis. And as part of that effort, there is a subcommittee that focuses on career pathways and youth career exploration, because once you're in high school, you oftentimes have aged out of your traditional after school or summer camp experience. And so it's a really energized interagency group of people. Many of the agencies that are represented here have people on it, although different people that are here today. And there was previously conversation under the old State Workforce Development Board about how we could potentially kind of merge these two committees or double count them, since it was largely the same agencies and colleagues. And to kind of make sure, we weren't duplicating efforts across the board when we were talking about career exposure in youth activities. So resurrecting this idea about if we use that committee in both places, or maybe it needs to be adapted a little bit, but I do think it's ultimately talking about very similar things and potentially duplicating efforts. And this could be a wise, work smarter, not harder choice.
Thank you. Any comments or feedback on that? Okay. I'm guessing there won't be any comments on the executive committee. The healthcare committee has been meeting, and Suzanne, maybe you want to step in a second, has been meeting in absentia of the former board and us getting kicked off with the new board and the new office. But obviously that is a priority sector for the state, and you've been meeting all along. Suzanne, right?
Yeah, so I a year ago stepped into the healthcare workforce development director position for the state of Vermont, and we had an ongoing committee or advisory group that had been meeting, and I oversee that committee and chair that. So we haven't stopped. We've been meeting consistently for the past year and have a draft strategic plan with some strategies, goals, and
it's some work to do still on the implementation pieces, but a decent draft right now. Or an updated strategic plan.
Yeah, and just as a member of that group, I would agree. I think Suzanne's done a really, really nice job of making sense of a lot of different things. And I think, to me, I've seen a draft of the strategic plan, and my comment back, and I think Suzanne is with me on this, is that we just need to sort of map it back to some of the specific tactics that we've used in the past, some of which I think are still relevant, and there may be other goals for which we haven't identified specific tactics. But I think in terms of when I think about, the interest we've heard in developing, say, an advocacy agenda or a legislative sort of set of policy goals for healthcare, I think we're probably further along than some other groups. It's been a really nice. She's done a really nice job.
Thank you, Jill. And I'm here today to help make certain that as we continue to push that forward, that it aligns with the goals that you all are establishing with this committee too. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else want to make comments or suggestions on the healthcare committee?
One more just the piece to this is that as we continue through with healthcare reform, a lot of the work that we do here will help to guide a larger 2028 strategic plan that is legislatively indicated in Act 68 or 126. I can't remember where it is now.
Okay. Thanks. The next committee is Program Quality Committee. Let's start with what the must-dos, which is the WIOA requirements, Workforce Pell, this recertification, our MOU with partners. This committee would be leading on making recommendations and establishing whether or not the state is following the federal requirements and guidelines that it is supposed to do. It would also be looking at some of the programs that may come up out of our work or that our other partners might be doing, and just assisting and supporting those as well. But this has a real operations focus to it. Just as we all know that is part of the charge of state workforce development boards, is to ensure that federal requirements are being met. And rather than having all 27 of us be involved with it all the time, that we would have a smaller group that would shepherd these things through.
Sabina,
report back. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, at this point, I mean, the big change here is going to be Workforce Pell.
Yes.
And do we have, I'm assuming the answer is no, based on the part of the world that I'm participating in, a clear picture yet of what our obligations are there?
Just we're supposed to be working in concert with the governor to identify priority sectors.
Okay.
That there is that if there's a program that is going to be doing training and credentialing, whatever you want to say, whatever word you want to use, for those priority sectors, that they've been registered for more than a year. There's some like those kinds of things that will need to be identified. And there's some also some roles for education, I believe, that we'll have to split up. AOE, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to, I guess, participate at least at the high level in some of these conversations. Really for two reasons. I do think with the limitation, the restriction to accredited programs makes this a little bit of a different animal than the original proposal. So I think some of the regulatory structure that was proposed didn't catch up with the kind of the cleanup of the risk profile that was done when they restricted institutional eligibility. So I'd be happy to talk through that with you. And then, of course, on the other end, we've got the experience with the advancement grant of navigating non-degree programs for 30 years with some of the quality issues that emerge. And there's probably a productive kind of opportunity for us to kind of share experience.
That would be great, Scott. Thank you.
Sabina, also on the, I think Workforce Pell, just in light of our meeting last week or whenever that was, I think there needs to be a separate committee focused solely on Workforce Pell, made up of the people we discussed in that meeting. I think that it's just too big. I mean, I think a program quality committee could be in concert with that group, but in looking at what the other states are doing, I think we have to have a Workforce Pell focused work group.
Right. Okay. And we still have another, November till supposedly November 1 is when more information is going to come out.
Yeah, I mean, if they get their act together, we may see some guidance before the end of the year. But I think being ahead of the game with at least the membership of a committee, I think by the end of October would probably be smart.
And I don't know if you saw the announcement that they may change the name of that grant.
I'm ignoring your comment on that one.
I'm trying hard to ignore
Same.
it too. Okay. We'll just move on. The next committee we talked about as a potential was the relocation and recruitment committee that would work on the goals 2 and 3, the working with helping employers grow and also keeping people here and encouraging them to move here.
That could also work with the goal I posted.
Okay, great. A final proposed committee we came up with that was suggested is the training and credentialing committee, which will also incorporate the work of the potentially new CTE career tracks, but that will also have probably a little role in the Workforce Pell if we have to make sure that they're accredited programs, but then also working with the repository of the many programs and opportunities that we have now, and overseeing those and making sure that that the system is working okay, and that we're also, to the best of our ability, that there's a clear picture that there's many opportunities in different parts of the state. Any comments there? Yeah, Ruth.
From the credentialing standpoint, there are lots of requirements in Perkins about credentialing. And so the agency has done our work for our secondary CTE programs to recognize the credentials by program that we use in reporting to the U.S. Department of Education. So we have that to share at the right appropriate time. It may be a starting point for some of the other work, but it's published on our website. So.
Okay, thank you. It's published on the website. Can you put a link in the chat? Thank you. And I think that's it.
All right. So let's move on to the updates from the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development. I think there's a couple of things here, right? The legislative report and the Workforce Pell Program.
Yep. we'll start with the legislative report. We've got well, we're working on our first draft and are getting information from Agency of Digital Services and some of our colleagues at Department of Labor on what data exists now and all of that. And then the hope is that we would have a draft to share with the executive committee at the October meeting that we can go over. And then at the full November board meeting, we would make sure everybody's happy with this data report, data trust report, before it gets submitted to the legislature in December. The long and the short of it is standing up a data trust is all over the place, depending on your state and your capabilities. Maine spent 5-ish years and $5-ish million during ARPA times when there was ARPA money. And they have what they call a data warehouse. Kentucky spent a decade and $40 million. And so it's all over the place. And certainly at this point in time, Vermont is not in a position to be able to spend that kind of money. I don't believe, but there are multi-state collaboratives that track this data with workforce development, using data from the census that all the states are collecting anyway, and then coupling it with post-secondary education institutions. So, and you can track, the largest one is called PSEO Coalition, and it covers 35 states and over 1,000 institutions. And so if we were to join that, we would know if Johnny went to school in Vermont or Washington State, and not specific to him because of PII, but and how many return back to Vermont, what their career is in engineering or whatever, and then it would be longitudinal for about 10 years on salary increases, et cetera, et cetera. And it would, I think that would be maybe a good starting point, because it would be very, very low cost while we try to figure out. That's going to be one of the recommendations we're going to make, is what I'm trying to say. While we take the time and the energy to stand up a Vermont data trust, if that's the decision that the legislature makes. We kind of could do both for a while, build our own, but still get some of the benefits of a multi-state collaborative, if that makes sense. Comments, questions? You'll see it next month. Okay. And then the last was, we've already started talking about the Workforce Pell requirements for the board. The original document, I think that Ruth shared with me, had 5 or 6 different requirements for the board, but they're probably within, certainly within the ballpark, but who knows what's going to happen with what's coming out. But they're similar to WIOA type of requirements to make sure that we're following the federal guidelines, that we're spending the money correctly, et cetera, as the independent board for the state.
Yeah, one of the tricks with that, of course, is that the money goes to individuals for Workforce Pell, so that creates a slightly different oversight dynamic, I think.
Good point.
I think the piece for the board is that the board determines which programs are eligible at which institutions for Workforce Pell. And then there are the individual requirements too, because yes, it gets complicated at that level, but ultimately just for an individual to be eligible to apply for Workforce Pell requires that the Workforce Development Board has done certain things. That's my understanding today. It could change the next time I go to a federal training.
Yes. So more to come on that as well. And we're going to try to put one pagers together, if you will. One on workforce Pell responsibilities for the board, and also one on WIOA responsibilities for the board that we hope to have ready at the next executive committee meeting as well. Questions, comments? I guess our Chair Bellows, are we ready to take the goals to the full board at the end of the month, or?
I think the one would just be to kind of address what Jill brought up before we bring it to the board as a larger group. Make sure that everybody's on pace with making sure that we have a goal that's aligned in getting really building the actual workforce, right?
Filling the jobs that are already here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I saw that Lindsay's got a description in the chat for goal 2. What have we decided what to do with that?
Maybe the best way to do this, Sabana, is to work through, bring up what Lindsay has and what Jill has, and bring it back to this group again next month. I know we have a couple more of the larger groups meetings before the end of the year. There's at least 2, right?
We have the one we don't have another executive committee meeting before the September meeting.
No, understood, but
Oh.
do it for the second of the larger groups.
Oh, the November
Non-executive.
meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can bring them up and discuss it, certainly, and not have them clearly defined, just letting everybody know this is what we're thinking about, maybe even getting some input from them, certainly on the 2 that are in question, and then
Yep.
bringing them back to the executive group next month.
Yep. Okay.
I'm just
Exactly.
looking at Lindsay's number 2, and it looks like it's more of a clarification of what
I would
we,
agree.
so I mean,
agree.
I would feel comfortable putting it in now, personally.
I agree. It's Chris Lowe, so I agree.
I agree
I
as well.
think, but it does call for establishing a subcommittee, and we've got a list of subcommittees, so I would just say that we'd want to connect that dot too and make sure the subcommittee list reflects this.
Yep.
Maybe it's the same committee. There was the workforce and maybe it's the same as that other sort of the second to the bottom committee that you showed on your list. I could be wrong. Maybe it needs a separate one from that, but maybe it's easier to just not have too many committees and make it the same.
Yeah.
I agree.
Relocation and recruitment committee.
Yes.
That
Maybe
we
it's-
said would work on goals 2 and 3, and 2 being the one you're talking about. And then 3 was keeping 1,000 kids here after graduation.
So then you could just take out from what Lindsay wrote, just take out the name of the committee, so it doesn't have a name. I'm just
Yeah.
saying you don't want a name in here and then not have the
Yeah,
name in the
yes.
committee list. It's
Yep.
just like
Yep.
very basic dot following. So
Yes.
easy to get confused.
Absolutely. I'm not wed to the name. I was just throwing something in there. So it's a good idea.
We will do that.
You guys, I'm getting a lot of texts today for people trying to recruit me. So many. So
Love it.
all kinds of things.
In Vermont, right?
Oh my gosh.
Anybody else? So is the idea that we would update the goals, again, to reflect today's conversation, and that's what we would take as our discussion points for September's meeting, the full board meeting, excuse me.
Yes.
Yep.
Are people comfortable taking my version of the goal or some other and just throwing it in there? Do people look at it? It's not a super complicated one.
Yeah, I just read it. Yep.
I'm just trying to, Sabina, not make you have to come back and back too many times if we can,
Mhm.
if we can nail it down.
You can come up with
I-
another word, straight face test.
Well, that was not part of it. So that was
Oh.
just my intro. It would start with develop.
Oh, got it.
Develop
that-
recruiting targets, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was
What-
just imagining someone reading this later and wondering why I was saying it. So I was trying to add some context.
Yep.
Do we want to, I mean, by saying by sector is pretty open. Do we want to dial it into sectors as part of the goal?
I would
mean,
leave it
there's
open
like-
for now.
Really?
I
I mean,
vote
there's
put
like,
in
there's like
healthcare.
50 sectors probably
Yeah.
or more, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair
I think
enough.
we need to have this dialed in a little bit. Maybe the top 5 largest sectors, which healthcare, of course,
Yeah.
would be in. I mean, we got to have
Fine.
something. Otherwise,
I
it's
like
so
that.
massive, we'll never go anywhere with it.
Yep.
Yep. No, that makes sense.
That's a really good point.
We talk about advanced manufacturing. We talk about IT, cybersecurity, which also includes AI,
In construction.
construction.
Yeah, you're thinking of picking the 5 with the greatest shortfalls? Is that the metric
So I
that we're
think
using?
by percentage, the 5 largest are probably going to have the largest shortfalls as well, right? I mean, Jill, what did
Yeah.
you just say? You're in need
Only
of it was like,
7,000 nurses.
yeah, I mean,
I was looking it up actually to remember what the latest study showed.
But on the flip side of it, those are the 5 sectors that have been doing the most work to try to figure out how to overcome those shortfalls. So, I mean, it's set up for at least we can assist a little bit more, I say easy. I mean, it'll still be a difficult, but
Yep.
they're more formalized.
More readiness. Yeah, more readiness to.
That was the only reason why I said don't have them in there, because I think we gravitate to that anyway, but I'm fine either way.
I just think if we leave it open, it's going to be so overwhelming and
No, you're
Mhm.
right, Jay. No,
we
you're
have to
right.
have some direction.
Well,
Yeah,
and
no,
it does
you're right.
invite an advocacy conversation that might distract us from our biggest priorities.
Right.
Good point. Good point.
So do we want to go with just the 5 largest or the ones that you suggested, Sabina? Healthcare leading the way and then getting into manufacturing, technology. I would go to, I'd say, be careful. Technology is pretty open too, but if you want to do, IT is very open. That's a very open statement, right? Especially if you're going to include AI, that's programming. It's a little bit different.
And certainly, I mean, yeah, I mean, cybersecurity is important to Vermont, I mean, because of Norwich being the leader and all of that too.
And Champlain.
Champlain, yes, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so so we have healthcare, manufacturing, IT technology based network, computer science. I don't know, whatever we want to call it. It's
Yep.
pretty well defined. What else?
Construction.
Construction,
Yep.
and we need one more. Let's do 5.
Well, I think, wouldn't Matt Barowitz have that breakdown?
Yeah.
I guess
We
we're
also-
assuming that those are all. I mean, healthcare is certainly in the top 5, but we're assuming the
Yeah.
rest are too, right? So I guess we would just work off of Matt's numbers then, Sabina? Or do we want to drive this with what we want to bring into the state as well?
I think that, well, to Jill's goal, we'd want to identify the sectors that have the biggest shortages of workforce. To the goals of growing the state, we would want to identify sectors that will be, my choice of words, enticing to bring people in. Two sides, same coin.
Well, I
Drake.
think you have to look at if you're doing it by percentage, you're doing it by numbers, right?
Yeah,
I think we do it by numbers.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So if we can
Quick
get
question.
that from Matt or from someone, we can, I mean, we know, I mean, I think comfortable saying healthcare is going to be on that list,
Probably leading that list, yeah.
probably
Yeah.
leading it. Imagine construction will be high on that list, at least from a state priority perspective. IT, I'm guessing is going to be high on that list. So, but I think let's get the list and then just see whether or not
Yep.
we think that adequately reflects what we believe to be the state needs.
Quick
Okay.
question, for healthcare is, like dental hygienists and that, is that linked into that or is that a separate category?
To me, it's all the same. I mean, I think people define it differently. I would put dental in, and I would also put long-term care in too.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that
You could
to
probably
me,
add, Joe, you could probably add PT to that. You could add all
Oh.
kinds of stuff, right?
Yes, yeah. It's just that sometimes people wonder when you say like healthcare, do you also mean dental care? Do you also mean mental health care? Do you also mean long-term care? But I mean it broadly.
Perfect, thanks.
And I think similarly, that's why I'm comfortable with IT as a broad category.
Me too.
Drake had her hand up before. Did you want to, oh, there you are. Did you want to say something?
I essentially was going to say what folks already said. If you all can decide on how you want to define that, we can talk to Matt and make the edit and whoever we need to and have that ready for the full board meeting later this month. That sounds like a good plan. And I'm already working on a document that includes the language that Secretary Curley added and Jill's good language too. So we'll be able to share something with y'all soon that should be in line with this discussion.
Thank you. Anything else? Are we entertaining a motion to adjourn?
We shall.
Hey, Sabina, can you stay on for a minute? I have something I want to chat with you about offline, if you don't mind, once we've finished.
We'll
adjourning.
have
Actually,
to end.
you and Drake actually could probably both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll end the recording before we chat. Okay.
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Should we get a motion
I'll
to
make the
adjourn?
motion, I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Second?
All right.
all in favor? We have to vote.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, everyone, and see you in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
And Jill, you and I will stay on with Drake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And then you'll end the recording, Drake, which I learned the hard way last time I stayed on.
I have